Media.
What I'm doing is I'm recalibrating as I go, listening to my gut and my instinct when it tells me to go one way or the other. Hi, my name is Ronnie Cruz. After almost 2 decades as a career network marketer, I realized that despite continual work on my personal and professional development, that I had hit a massive brick wall. So I took a deep and honest look at myself, top to bottom, hoping to find answers, and my search led me to one conclusion. The definitions I held of my business, of my world, of my life were the very things holding me back. If I wanted to change, if I wanted to grow beyond my current circumstances, I had to wipe the slate clean and redefine. This show is dedicated to helping you identify the belief systems, the mindsets, the very definitions that have held you back, and then help you break through those limitations to finally create the life you've been working so hard to achieve. Welcome to the Redefine Podcast. Okay, happy podcast day. Happy podcast day to you. Welcome to the show if you're brand new. And of course, if you are an existing listener and or viewer, welcome back. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. All right. So today I want to share with you a story, a personal story that I think will really illustrate exactly what we've been talking about the last handful of episodes. If you haven't listened to those yet, I encourage you to go back and listen to the last 3 episodes. We talked about alignment and how if you're out of alignment, you can slowly work your way back by recalibrating and finding and leaning into the things that really light you up, right? The things that really bring more aliveness into your experience, because it's that aliveness that gives you a sense of purpose, that gives you a sense of meaning in life, right? Rewind back to February of this year, I was up in New York City on a business trip. I was up there to help my team launch a new product. Our company's launching a new product. And so the leaders in that area, in the New York City area, wanted to host an event to launch the product. And they invited me up to support them. And so I did that. I was up there primarily for business. And of course, I spent a lot of time with the team on the event itself or during the event itself. And then outside of the event, spending one-on-one individual time with the local leaders. Fortunately, on this trip, I was able to schedule some personal time. So it wasn't just all work, even though the work I do is quite fun and fulfilling. And I absolutely love it. I love connecting and spending time, especially the one-on-one time with my team and with the leaders on the team. But I also have friends in New York City outside of my business. And oftentimes in the past, going up there for business trips, I was unable to, get extra time outside of the events and outside of work. And so this time I was really, really intentional and purposeful to block out a specific night, a specific evening to spend just with friends outside of the business. It just so happened that the friend I really wanted to connect with on this trip was playing a show at the Blue Note. If you're not familiar with the Blue Note, it's a legendary music venue in New York City. So it was perfect. Not only was I going to get to spend time with this dear friend of mine who I grew up with, but I had the opportunity to go watch him perform at a legendary venue in New York City. Now, he's an amazing guitarist. He and I actually used to play music together in our younger days. So this was a real treat. This was a real treat for me. I hadn't seen him perform in quite a long time. And to see him perform at such a high level in this legendary venue was really something very, very special. Coming out of that weekend after returning home from New York, I realized that, man, yeah, I've been missing a huge piece of the puzzle in my life. And I reflected back on the last handful of years, and I realized that I've been so detached and distant, and that I've found it harder and harder to motivate myself to do what I'd been doing all these years, to find the drive to do these events and to continue doing the trainings and mentoring and going out there and team building and all the stuff that again I've been doing in my career as a network marketer. I'd realized after this weekend that I had gotten so disconnected from that part of me, the music side, the creative side. Early in my career, the desire to create more time and financial freedom for myself was driven for the desire to be able to play more music and devote time to the creative pursuits. Now that I've attained a certain level of financial and time freedom, I realized that I was just working for the sake of working and building for the sake of building. Again, not that I don't find that fulfilling. I absolutely love being able to help people achieve the things that they want to achieve. I mean, that's why I continue to do this show. However, being so removed and not having done anything creative, whether it's music or acting or even just sitting down and writing, there was a big hole in my life. And so after this trip in February, what I decided to do was just get back into it. I didn't know necessarily what that looked like, but I started leaning into what my gut was telling me. And this goes back to the stuff that we were talking about in the last handful of episodes. The first step was to sell my electric guitar. Now, remember, again, I'm using my instincts here. I'm using my intuition to guide me through this realignment process as I recalibrate, right? And my instinct, my gut was telling me that I needed to get rid of this thing. And it's not that it was a bad guitar. It's actually quite a nice guitar. It was a Gibson Les Paul, but I had never really developed a connection to it. I held on to it all these years. I mean, I had it for over 10 years. I held on to it because really it was a gift and I felt bad getting rid of it. So finally I decided, look, it's just time to let it go. Let's make room and make space and see what happens. I was able to find a local guitar store in town and yeah, they bought it no problem. And so what that did was that created a vacuum in my life for a new instrument, right? It created space for new things to happen. Now, to fill that void, I knew that I wanted an American Fender Stratocaster. I'd always wanted a Fender Strat. I'd never had one before. I played on them, here and there, but I never really had one and played on it in long term. And so that's really the ideal that I wanted. The store that bought my guitar sells used gear, naturally, used instruments. And so, I would check back on their website periodically to see if they had what I was looking for. And after a few weeks, exactly what I was looking for turned up, a Fender American Stratocaster. And this actually was a pro model. Really lovely guitar. And I kind of hemmed and hawed trying to decide if I was going to check it out or not. The process for purchasing an instrument for me is a long one, right? Is a long one, and it's something that I really like taking my time in. And so even just to go to town and check out this particular instrument and to try it out was a process, right? It was a decision. So I finally decided, okay, look, I need to go check this guitar out. It's still there. After weeks of being on the website, it was still there. So in the back of my head, there must have been a reason, right? There must be a reason. Again, leaning into my intuition, it kind of guides you and it tells you where you need to recalibrate and what paths you need to follow, because those paths, again, open up new things, right? Open up new roads for you. So I go to the store and I tell the guy exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to try out this very specific American Fender Strat. Turns out that they had another American Fender Strat that had just recently come in, but they hadn't had time to put it up on the website yet. So they had two Fender American Strats for me to try out that day. So I went back and forth between the two guitars, trying them out, seeing how they felt. And at the end, I told the guys, I was like, look, I'm going to go home and sleep on it. And I definitely will come back and try them out some more, right? Like, I want to get a sense and a feel for the instrument. Going home from that visit to the music store, however, I already knew immediately that the original guitar, the one that I had been eyeing for weeks, was not the guitar for me. Was not the guitar for me. And I don't know what it was logically. I can't explain it to you rationally, right? Because I was leaning into my instinct and my gut. And my instinct and my gut was telling me that there's just something about this guitar that doesn't, it doesn't vibe. It doesn't connect, right? Like I wasn't feeling a connection to it. However, the second guitar, the one that I had no idea was even in the shop when I went in, there was something about that one, right? There was something about that one. And so a couple weeks later, I went back to the store and I was like, yeah, I'm back to try out this guitar. And I tried it out, and by the end of that visit, they actually even let me stay after hours because I live so far out of town. I get there at the end of the operation hours, so they had to close while I was in there, but they let me stay. I was like, okay, yeah, I like it, and I took it home. So that in itself is an example of leaning into your gut, not knowing where exactly the specific path is going to lead you. But new forks and new turns open up, new options open up to you that you would never have known had you not trusted your gut in the first place, right? Had you not leaned into that instinct, that nervous energy, that nervous excitedness that's telling you to go a certain way. And so now I have this amazing, beautiful Fender Strat that I absolutely am in love with, and that has sparked me to get back into playing more. Right, I'm playing really, really regularly, almost every day, and I'm getting my chops back as a guitarist. I'm getting my chops back as a musician and as a singer. And so the next thing was, well, I'm just playing at home. Why don't I go out and play out in public? And again, I didn't know what that would look like. It's not like I have an established name or a big following to be able to book gigs or anything like that. Luckily, in our little tiny town, we actually have a brewery that hosts an open mic every 2 weeks. And I was really always hesitant to go, but since I was riding this momentum of being back on this music journey, I decided just go out there and F it, right? Just go out there and go play. Now, mind you, I had only been back playing again like 2 weeks max at this point. So I'm really, really rusty. I mean, like I felt like I sounded good here at home when I'm practicing, but I haven't played on a stage in years, decades, really, and I definitely never played by myself. Right. But, like part of me was like, oh, who cares? You know what I mean? It's an open mic. You're going to play 2-3 songs max. Just get up there and rip the Band-Aid off, right? And just dive head first. And so, again, it's that nervous excitedness that I really, really leaned into. Again, even if I wasn't ready, even if I didn't really know a lot of songs, et cetera, et cetera, I just went and did it. And it was an absolute disaster. It was an absolute disaster, but it removed the fear. It removed the fear. I mean, I still get nervous when I go up. However, I know that getting in front of an audience is part of the process that makes me better. And I actually really, really enjoy doing it. Now, coming out of that open mic, a friend of mine told me that there was actually another open mic in our locale, which is crazy to me because we're in the middle of nowhere. And this second open mic actually happens every week. And it's so much closer to my house. Our town is about 45-minute drive from here. This open mic is at the general store, which is only 15 minutes away. So super, super convenient. It happens on Sunday brunch. Another opportunity to workshop new songs that I just learned and new original pieces when I start writing again. So it's really, really, I mean, like I'm playing more and I'm feeling like I'm improving exponentially, like I'm improving by leaps and bounds. And so who knows where this is going to lead, right? Who knows where this is going to lead? I've actually been telling my old bandmates about some of my open mic exploits, and they're getting really, really jazzed and excited to the point where we're now trying to coordinate to record some music together again, remotely, of course, and all home recordings, nothing professional. So, it's just really, really fun to kind of lean into these things, not knowing where they're going to go necessarily, not logically understanding, and having a plan and a structure to carry out this, and this plan so that I can achieve this thing and eventually, stardom and platinum record. You know what I mean? There's not that level of foresight and structure and planning to it. I'm just going with the flow and I'm leaning into what my gut and my instinct is telling me, are telling me. And I'm finding that that's opening up more and more paths that, again, I could never have accounted for or planned for had I sat down and tried to create a specific plan and strategy to achieve a desired outcome. Yes, I have a loose plan and I have definitely an idea of what I want to achieve. However, I'm allowing room for exploration and discovery because, again, you never know what will open up for you on the path that you're on. So instead of forcing my journey into a straight path, what I'm doing is I'm recalibrating as I go, listening to my gut and my instinct when it tells me to go one way or the other, right? When it tells me to take this fork or that fork. And with each recalibration, what I'm finding is I'm finding more aliveness. I'm finding more excitement. And what I'm finding is that these paths are actually opening up more and more opportunities as I go. So this is just an example of recalibrating in your life to find more alignment and listening more to what your gut and your instincts are telling you. Really, what you're doing is you're listening to what your heart is telling you, right? Because if you feel like there's something missing in your life, your heart is definitely the thing that you need to listen to more of. Because if those things are missing, it's because you haven't been listening to your heart in the first place. So hopefully this story makes sense. Hopefully it brightens your day, and it inspires you to trust your gut and to go for the things that bring you more aliveness and that bring you more joy. And well, I mean, yeah, that's what it's all about, right? To fill your life doing things that give you a sense of aliveness, because it is in that sense of aliveness that you feel fulfillment and that you feel purpose and that you find meaning. Again, go back and listen to the previous 3 episodes, and then re-listen to this one as many times as it takes, so that you really understand how to use this process and how to implement it for yourself. And of course, if you have any questions, reach out anytime. You can reach me by clicking the send me a text link on whatever podcast app you happen to be listening on, or if you're listening to this on the YouTube version, you leave a comment in the comment section below. You can also get in touch with me on Blue Sky. That's my preferred and primary social media. Really great platform there, so you can reach out to me anytime. But beyond that, have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. We will catch you next week with a fresh new one. I got to get out of here because I'm losing light. So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.